We are learning some new information about a very old enemy. This report says the FBI planted an informant who was in direct contact with Osama bin Laden, and this goes all the way back to 1993. This information surfaced in court during this employee dispute case. The source reportedly provided very specific information to the FBI, even helped stop a terror plot in Los Angeles. Guy Taylor is the national security team leader at the Washington Times, co-author of the report. He joins me live. So, Guy, welcome to you, and congrats on the scoop. But I mean, I want to hear more about the story. How did you come across the information specifically?
Hi, yeah, it is such an interesting story. This is really a classic case of digging through old court documents and finding something in an obscure 9/11 related case from 2010 where the former head of the Los Angeles field office for the FBI testified on behalf of an FBI employee who had brought a case against the Bureau. And in the testimony, before basically an empty courtroom, this was in 2010, basically dropped this bomb that in fact the FBI had penetrated very close within Osama bin Laden's immediate circle as far back as 1993, right after the time of the first World Trade Center bombing that you'll remember happened in 1993.
So, as we learn in your piece, this Masonic temple bombing was thwarted in LA, but at the same time, I'm wondering why this information never got to the 911 Commission. Why it was never public.
That is the big mystery of this story, and what is so sexy about it is it deals with this question that's probably the most difficult question that the media has to deal with in reporting on the FBI and the CIA's relationship with Al-Qaeda over the years. It has to deal with the issue of penetrations. That right now the CIA has penetrations into Islamic terrorist groups around the world. All the way back in 1993, the FBI had this penetration. Why didn't it come up? I went and talked to the former head of the 9/11 Commission. He said he hadn't heard of this. This is Philip Zelikow. He's now at the University of Virginia. He hadn't heard of this. We've had trouble reaching the actual agent, who's the former head of the FBI field office. Maybe he'll see this and want to talk to me now. Is Ed Curran. Is what happened with this information? What the 9/11 Commission did find, which focused also, the 9/11 Commission focused very much on the years right before the September 11 attacks. It didn't dig that deeply back to 1993. But this raises questions about what happened to this source. Was the CIA or the FBI still running this source up into the 1995, 1996, 1997? And that question isn't answered. Our sources for the story say that the FBI Los Angeles field office lost track of the source. So it's not clear now what happens. And when you look at this, we tried really hard not to frame this story as something that would just feed the landscape of conspiracy theories about 9/11, because we know it's a rich landscape. We really wanted to look at it with a very sober eye and say there are clearly facts that are out there about the whole narrative of the U.S. law enforcement and intelligence community's relationship with Al-Qaeda that we just don't know about. And now as we move forward into a new generation, 20 years on from the early 90s, 10, 15 years on from 9/11, some of us who are still reporting on it are coming across nuggets like this, and I think it adds to the overall narrative of what that is.
And in this, let me just say, in this age of technology and media in 2014, here you are digging through court documents. I say good for you. Guy Taylor, if you want to read his piece, it's in the Washington Times. Guy, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And coming up next, a 10-year-old little